What's up, YouTube? It's your girl TK Reacts, also known as TK Official, and we're back with another video today, you guys. But before we get into today's content, if you are not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. If you are a returning subscriber, old or new, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being so loyal, right? Thanks for staying down. So let's get into today's content. I got some really good content. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be an informative video, educational, however you want to look at it. So basically, this woman, by the name of Abba, was talking to a young man. From my understanding, they've known each other for a long time now. Like they're are adults, but they've known each other since like elementary, middle school, through high school, and all the way up to adult years. And they end up, getting intimate, and they end up getting pregnant. So I don't want to, entail all the information. I just want to, she didn't come out with a video, she came out with a story, and she basically told her story via Twitter. So I'm gonna go ahead and read you her story, and then after I read you her story, we'll get to our thoughts and everything afterwards. So she states, I want to tell whomever will listen about what my ex did to me and our child throughout my pregnancy. This family that we were creating was one he stressed. He wanted so bad after his initial reservations. I had given this man so many chances to leave and constantly asked him to. And constantly asked him to do so. If that was what he chose and he never did, forcing my child and I to suffer the consequences. There may be many triggers in this thread, so please prepare yourself for what you would read. I ask that you please share my story because the man that has done this to me has not been arrested and will prey on others at his leisure. He has taken no responsibility for his actions. So if you're a woman or a man who's ever been in a toxic ass relationship, a violent relationship, just a really bad relationship, you might want to exit off this video. Or even if you've been in that type of situation, you think you're ready, but that's just a warning before we get into the nitty gritty. So to continue, she starts off. Oh, she says, to start off, my boyfriend at the time inserted 2 abortion pills in my vagina under the disguise of oral and digital sex the morning of February 20th, 2022, when I was 17 weeks pregnant. At this time, he inserted the pills. I was unaware as he covered my stomach completely with my comforter and made sure it was extremely dark in the room. He asked if he could blindfold me to spice up the sex, but I said no because I was uninterested. I immediately began to experience what I later found was side effects of the drug misoprostol. Misoprostol. We're gonna say abortion pill because I don't want to pronunciate the word. So we're just gonna say abortion pill. So she goes on to say a pill that doctors give to a woman under supervision to assist in abortion or labor. As he lay next to me in bed after he had assorted the pills, I began to have chills and extremely terrible cramps that then led to diarrhea and later the leaking of my water. I had assumed at the time before my water began to leak that I was experiencing food poisoning. She says, the night before he had taken me to a Korean steakhouse for dinner, I assumed that the meat I made for us did not agree with me. I called my on-call OBGYNs constantly that day, specifically before I began to experience leaking, and they had agreed that it was that very well could have been food poisoning. So, as the man lay next to me, he watched me experience what was later confirmed by my doctors to be contractions. He knew exactly what he had done and why I was experiencing what I was experiencing and watched me sit in pain and confusion. He told me that He told me then that we should try to get rest. As my fever began to spike, he went to sleep or pretended to. I took Tylenol as instructed by my doctor, and was able to finally get some rest. When I woke, I noticed he was awoke, alert next to me. He told me that his parents had told his sister they wanted him to come back home. For the past 2 weeks at the time, he had been living with me. He told me and my family that he had told his parents that I was pregnant. They had kicked him out as our cultures did not necessarily align. He is Middle Eastern Pakistani to be exact. This one, this was one of the reasons I was told nor our child would be accepted in his culture. For some reason, in my gut, I didn't believe he truly told them. So, yeah, she's giving us detail, right? She's giving us a lot of detail. So, she says, after he told me what I felt was a lie, that his parents wanted him to go back home, I asked him to pack all his things and leave my home immediately. He began to protest and asked me if I was kicking him out. I simply stated that I didn't believe he ever told his family the truth about our relationship or pregnancy, and I was too tired to deal with the BS that day. He began to linger and said he wanted to come back. He sat on the floor, began crying, but acknowledged that he, in fact, never told his parents the truth. So he goes on, you guys, to admit that yeah, but I didn't tell my parents and my family, my sister or whatever, that we were pregnant. I never told them that. So she says, I later realized he only wanted to come back to make sure he was successful in terminating my pregnancy. In the 2 weeks he lived with me, he got so close to a large part of my tight knit community. I didn't know it. I didn't know it at the time, but his tactic was used so suspicious would never point to him. Suspicion. He never expected that the abortion pill would not dissolve, leaving the only culprit to be him. He finally collected all his things and prepared to leave. The last thing he said to my face was that he loved me and the baby so much. Around 8 p.m., I called him and told him I was no longer interested in being with him. I felt as though he was a coward and I was not going to tolerate any more lies. I had broken up with him. He told me we were done. I told him we were done, and the only thing he kept asking me was, well, how are you feeling now? Over and over again. I couldn't understand why, because at the time, for some reason, I felt a bit bitter. I had rested and thought that the food poison begun to subside for the most part, and I didn't mention still feeling ill to him once. I later realized it was because he wanted to see if I had miscarried yet. Right after I got off the phone, I began to feel more gushes of water leaving my body. I had a few tiny leaks a few hours prior, but was told by my OBGYN it could be natural from diarrhea pushing my body to push discharge out. I was worried, so I rushed to the bathroom and wiped. So after looking at the issue, I'm sorry, you guys. After looking at the tissue, I saw one pill. I was unsure of what was happening, so I wiped again, and on that napkin there was another pill. I kept wiping but found nothing else. My sister came into my bathroom, looked, and asked me what it was. At the time, I was in so much shock I couldn't fathom the reality of what I was seeing. I immediately asked for her phone and searched for images of abortion pills that could be inserted vaginally and saw that they were the exact same shape as the two that came out of me. At the time, I had never felt so much pain and shook in my life. In shock in my life. I knew in that moment he had put those pills in my body that morning under the disguise of sex. I called my OBGYN once again that disclosed what I found. She told me to immediately come into labor and delivery. As I was rushed to the hospital, I couldn't cry or focus on the reality of the betrayal and pain I felt. I did everything I could to calm myself so my baby wouldn't feel my distress. I couldn't come to terms with actually losing what I had wanted so bad. So I prayed. I pleaded with God and hoped that in some miracle my child would be saved. We arrived at the hospital with two pills I had found concealed in a Ziploc bag for the doctors to look at. My doctor did a test on me to confirm whether or not the gushes of water were in fact fluid. She immediately confirmed it was, and that because of this, the prognosis of my pregnancy was not good at all because of how early I was. So she shares a picture. So she's coming with receipts, you guys. And this is the picture of the two pills that she found in her vaginal when she was urinating. So, boom. She goes on to say she inspected the pills and said she would have to send them to the pharmacist for inspection on what they were, as they had been a bit coordinated from being inside of me. I was also sent to an ultrasound to see if the baby had enough fluid around her. I went to the ultrasound and by now. So I just want to start there. The baby um wasn't full term, but she was far enough along to know the gender of the baby. So keep that in mind. So I went to the ultrasound, and by some miracle, the results that came back were that I had not seemed to lose much fluid at all. I was told that the body keeps making fluid. Essentially, it's mainly baby pee built up over time. I was asked whether or not I wanted to terminate my pregnancy because I was still ruptured, and was told this could easily cause infection in me and the baby, leading to syphilis. I had decided not to. Um, my leaking seemed to subside. I wanted to hold on to what seemed to be a miracle. You guys, excuse me if I'm fumbling some words. This is a lot to read. Um, but I gotta give y'all this video. It's very informative, and I feel like she's very transparent. To open up to the entire world about this. You know what I'm saying? So basically opening up, and just letting women know. Just keep an eye out, man. Just stay alert, not to be naive to a lot of things. So it is rare, but sometimes when there is a small hole in the am- amniotic sac, it can reseal. My doctors told me I was lucky, but but truly believed it was God. So she gives us a little information on that, which you can Google. So she goes on to say, my doctor got back to me and confirmed that the pharmacist believed the pills could have been abortion pills, or another pill that was considered birth control. The doctors did confirm that the symptoms I had experienced throughout the day lined up with being given abortion pills. With all the information I was given, I was numb, but I was also afraid for my life that he'd come and find me after being so patient, charming, and calculated. I cannot put anything past him. The man that had done this to me acted as if he was the perfect partner, and they usually do. Narcissists usually do. So he always made sure I was eating, helped me put my shoes on as my belly began to get bigger, always gave me the tiniest and most hindering kisses. Spoke of looking for a ring for me to propose before my due date by a town home, told me he loved our daughter more than life itself, got closer to my sister, my best friend's boyfriend, sat down with my parents in regards to his plan for us. Told me he couldn't wait for our little family, all the while plotting to kill what was already formed tiny, which was already formed um, tiny human baby inside of me. So guys, and again, she's coming with some receipts. So okay, so she's in the blue, he's in the gray. She says, laughing my ass off, I'm fucking with you. But it's actually literally up to you. Please don't ever propose five, unless you actually want me five ever in 10 days. I don't know. Laughing my ass off. I literally want all of you all the time. So this is him. The good, the bad, the ugly. I want you on your good days and bad days. I want you on days you sometimes don't even want yourself. I know I might not be the most affectionate guy, and I might not be the best at a lot of things, but every day I try to be better than I was the day before. It's a process. I'm growing every day, and I would like to continue to grow with you by my side. And then he goes on, okay, never mind. I take it all back since you want to leave folks on red. So I guess she didn't hit him right back. He says, I want to be active in your life. I want you to be Mrs. Da da da. And y'all can go on and read. If you have to, go ahead and pause the video. And I'm gonna stop right there, you guys. I don't want the video to be too extensive, so this is part one. And don't worry, I'm gonna be right back with part two. I'll see you guys in a minute, you guys. Again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, come on, man. What are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel and hit that post notification bell. And I'll see you guys in a minute.